A very warm welcome from our Helaba studio in Frankfurt to our quarterly update on the Schuldschein market. Thank you very much, Uli, for your time to give us an insight into what has happened over the last 3 months. What I can say is that the market has been very active, at least on the corporate bond side. Was this also the case on the Schuldschein front?
Yeah, Klaus, in the end, in the Schuldschein market, 5.9 billion were placed in the second quarter. That is indeed sizably more than in the first quarter of this year. However, still a little bit less than in the second quarter of last year. I take this down to the fact that we saw fewer benchmark issues coming to the Schuldschein market. This is about to change at the moment, but so far really fewer issues. We know for a fact that large corporates have a very favorable refinancing conditions in the bond market at the moment, and I think that reflects a little bit the lower interest in the Schuldschein market at the moment. Nonetheless, we still have a decent number of rated companies who come to the Schuldschein market with transactions, but just in a smaller size. Overall, 32 transactions were placed in the Schuldschein market in the second quarter. This is approximately at the level of the median of the last 5 years. So actually, I think that's a decent performance so far. Klaus, from your perspective, can you tell us something about investors' behavior right now, or how the pricing developed in the second quarter?
Yeah, the pricing developed very favorably, at least for the issuers. We saw a trend downwards since the level is still relatively high, particularly compared to the bond market. One of the main reasons why we saw more interest of issuers going into the bond market, bond market. However, in the last transactions, we saw a clear downward trend. We have to keep in mind we have different investors in the Schuldschein market, i.e. banks primarily, which have a different regulatory background, versus we have real money investors in the bond market. And that's primarily the reason why we have also different price levels. And I believe that this will remain relatively high in the Schuldschein market compared to the corporate bond market.
Okay.
From your perspective, do you see or did you see other trends worthwhile mentioning?
Well, I would just like to highlight two developments that continued into the second quarter. First, we have a relatively high number of newcomers in the market. If you also include the marketing period at the moment, there are 18 transactions from companies that have never tapped the Schuldschein market before. That is almost a quarter of all transactions. It gets even more interesting if you go a little bit into detail. So we do not have only small transactions you would expect from newcomers, but also transactions with benchmark size coming from first-time issuers. So that also highlights for me the stability of the market. And moreover, these 18 transactions came from 11 different sectors, so a broad diversification here, and above all, 7 of these 18 transactions came from non-domestic issuers, so also a strong participation here, which brings me to the second development I would like to highlight. The overall participation of non-German companies in the Schuldschein market, and especially the French issuers. We have seen basically no issue in 2023, and now the situation has changed, has normalized completely again. I think we have now 6 transactions that came to the market so far. That is an absolutely normal, decent number. So both factors, newcomers and the participation of French issuers, 2 factors that bode very well for the future in the Schuldschein market.
Before we come to the outlook, another question with regards to foreign currencies. Was there any development you can give us a little bit of insight?
Yeah, maybe Also, besides the Euro bond, the normal Eurobond tranches, I think 2 or 3 US dollar tranches. That tells us that there is also some demand here, also from the issuer side, but also from the investor side. So that's also a trend I would think is positive from the market here.
So all in all, a very healthy environment, which is good to hear. Now looking into your crystal ball, what is your expectation for Q3, but also looking already to the end of the year, what is your expectation of the overall volume we may see in the market this year?
Right. Okay, let's start with the third quarter, or the situation right now. Last that I looked, there were 9 deals in marketing phase, amounting to a launch volume of 1.2 billion euros. That's already quite something, given the fact that we are entering the summer break now. But on top of that, we have 1.6 billion, at least 1.6 billion, coming from transactions that where the marketing phase is already closed, but that will value in the third quarter. So if you take that together, that's already a very solid base for the third quarter, and I'm quite positive that in the end the volume placed in the third quarter will at least surpass the one we saw in the same period of last year. Coming to the entire year, I would say we can at least, as I said before, expect 20 billion euros be placed in the Schuldschein market. With this development, recent development, even maybe a little bit more. So I think that is absolutely fine, so a solid development this year.
Actually, I'm happy to echo this, what you are saying. Also from what I see in the market right now, currently we see only a handful left transactions in the market. Summer, as you just said, is coming very quickly, hopefully. And we already are in preparation of transactions for the summertime and even thereafter. And this is for me also a good sign that the market keeps on track, that we should be able to see roughly 20 billion towards the end of the year. So thank you very much for your insight, Uli, this time.
You're welcome.
And thank you very much for your interest in our quarterly update.